Victoria Hayes stepped out of the Grand Hotel in downtown Atlanta shortly after midnight, expecting to find her security team waiting beside the black SUV. The charity gala had ended almost an hour earlier, and she was exhausted from a long evening of speeches, interviews, and meetings with donors. As the CEO of Hayes Global, Victoria was accustomed to attention, but tonight she wanted nothing more than to return home and sleep. She checked her phone. 3 missed calls from her head of security appeared on the screen. Before she could call back, the lights near the parking area suddenly went dark. Victoria stopped walking. Hello? No answer. She looked toward the hotel entrance. Several guests were still leaving through the glass doors, but the parking area itself seemed strangely empty. Then a man stepped from behind a vehicle. Victoria immediately took a step backward. 2 more men appeared from the opposite side. A 4th man stood near the driveway. Her heart began beating faster. "Give us your purse," one of them demanded. Victoria held her bag tightly. "You're making a mistake," the man laughed. "We know exactly who you are." That sentence frightened her more than the threat itself. They hadn't chosen her randomly. Someone knew she was the CEO. Someone had planned this. Victoria slowly looked toward the hotel entrance, hoping a security officer would notice what was happening. A few people were still inside, but nobody seemed to understand the danger outside. One of the men stepped closer. "Don't make this difficult." Victoria raised her hand slightly. "Take the purse." She tossed it toward him, but instead of leaving, the man caught it and nodded toward the others. "Get her into the car." Victoria's expression changed. "You said you only wanted the bag." "We changed our minds." She stepped backward, but one of the men blocked her path. Then a calm voice came from behind them. "That's far enough." Everyone turned. A tall black security guard stood near the hotel entrance. He wore a dark security uniform and had been watching the situation from several yards away. His name was Marcus Reed. He had worked private security for less than a year, but there was something unusual about the way he stood. His shoulders were relaxed, his eyes were focused. He wasn't shouting or panicking. One of the men laughed. "Walk away." "Marcus didn't move," I said. "Step away from her." The tallest man approached Marcus. "You don't know what you're getting into." Marcus glanced briefly at Victoria. "Ma'am, stay behind me." Victoria obeyed immediately. The man cracked his knuckles. "You think you're a hero?" Marcus remained completely calm. "No," he paused. "I'm just giving you one chance to leave." The men exchanged nervous looks. Victoria noticed something in Marcus's posture that she couldn't explain. He wasn't acting like an ordinary security guard. The first attacker suddenly moved toward him. Marcus shifted his weight. In one smooth motion, he caught the man's arm and redirected him away. From Victoria, the others froze. Marcus looked at them. "Last chance." Victoria stood behind him, stunned. She had no idea that the quiet security guard protecting her had once served in one of the most demanding military units in the United States, and within the next few minutes, she was about to discover exactly who Marcus Reed really was. The first attacker stumbled backward, clutching his arm as Marcus Reed positioned himself between Victoria and the remaining men. His expression stayed calm, almost completely emotionless. Victoria could hear her own heartbeat as she watched him. The second man suddenly rushed forward. Marcus stepped aside, grabbed his jacket, and redirected his momentum toward the pavement. The man hit the ground and immediately rolled away. The other 2 attackers hesitated. Marcus looked at them leave. One of them reached inside his jacket. Victoria gasped. Marcus reacted instantly, stepping in front of her and forcing the man's hand away before he could pull anything out. The attacker stumbled backward and ran toward the street. His partner followed within seconds. The parking area was empty except for Victoria, Marcus, and the 2 men who had been stopped. Sirens approached from several blocks away. Victoria stared at Marcus. "Who are you?" Marcus straightened his uniform. "Marcus Reed, security." That wasn't normal security training. Marcus gave a faint smile. "I've had some experience." Victoria wasn't convinced. Police officers arrived moments later and secured the area. After giving their statements, Victoria stood beside her SUV, still trying to understand what had happened. One officer looked at Marcus. "You former military?" Marcus nodded. "Former Navy SEAL." Victoria's eyes widened. "A SEAL?" Marcus shrugged. "Long time ago." The officer shook his head with respect. "That explains a lot." After the police left, Victoria turned toward Marcus. "Why are you working security?" Marcus looked toward the empty street. "When I left the military, I needed something quieter." Victoria almost laughed. Tonight was anything but quiet. Marcus smiled. That wasn't part of the plan. Victoria studied him carefully. She had spent years surrounded by executives, lawyers, consultants, and highly paid security specialists. Yet none of them had stepped forward when she needed someone. Marcus, had you saved my life? I protected someone who needed protection, he replied. You could have been hurt. So could you. Victoria looked down for a moment. Then she asked, would you consider working for me? Marcus raised an eyebrow. Is what my executive security director? He hesitated. I don't think I'm qualified for corporate politics. Victoria smiled. That's exactly why I want you. Marcus laughed quietly. You don't know me. No, Victoria said. But tonight I saw enough. She offered him her business card. Call me tomorrow. Marcus accepted it. As Victoria climbed into her SUV, she looked back through the window. Marcus was still standing near the hotel entrance watching the street. For the first time in years, Victoria felt that someone around her genuinely cared about keeping her safe, without expecting anything in return. The next morning, Marcus called. I'll take the job, he said. Victoria smiled. Welcome to Hayes Global. Neither of them knew that the attack had been carefully planned, and when investigators later discovered who had ordered it, Victoria would realize that Marcus wasn't just protecting her from strangers. He was about to protect her from someone much closer to home.